Norman Rockwell, one of America's best-known illustrators who once called the town of Stockbridge, where he lived, the best of America, the best of New England. Maybe that's why he created some of his most endearing works in his studio downtown overlooking Main Street, including one of his most famous and beloved paintings, Home for Christmas. Steve Kiltonick visited the Berkshire town recently and discovered what keeps bringing people back to this small town every year to celebrate the Christmas season, and why Home for Christmas has become one of Rockwell's iconic holiday images.
One can't speak of Norman Rockwell without mentioning in the same breath the town of Stockbridge. The quaint New England village, nestled at the foothills of the Berkshires, is where the acclaimed artist spent the last 25 years of his life before his death in 1978 at the age of 84. Over the years, Rockwell's name has been especially synonymous with the holidays. Rockwell's images on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post, on holiday cards, and for major corporations like Pepsi and Parker Pen have come to define for generations of Americans what the holiday spirit represents. At the Norman Rockwell Museum, a current exhibit, Home for the Holidays, featured some of the most endearing holiday images.
Rockwell, I think, was really the prime purveyor of Christmas. He helped us to get a sense of how our holidays should feel.
As a child, Rockwell admired the work of Charles Dickens. His favorite story was A Christmas Carol, and characters like Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim.
The Saturday Evening Post regularly published his Christmas images. In fact, the Post knew that many thousands more copies of the magazine would be purchased if there was a Rockwell holiday image on the cover.
In 1956, when Rockwell was asked by Hallmark to create a holiday painting, he was inspired by his own hometown.
He did feel that Stockbridge captured that quintessential New England feeling. And I think in thinking about what people would like to have the holidays feel like, a little bit of snow, beautiful light emanating from a charming village scene. In a way, it's everyone's Main Street.
Rockwell worked from a series of more than 100 photographs.
Each of the buildings has its own character because his studio assistant, Louis Lamone, actually went down the street and photographed each building individually from the front. He used a bit of artist license in tilting the Berkshire Hills in the background, though he did have reference from Switzerland as well. In referring to the light in the windows, he was actually looking at home magazines of the era to see how holiday images were photographed.
Besieged by deadlines for other illustrations, Rockwell put the painting aside for 10 years. Asked by McCall's in 1967 to paint a holiday image, Rockwell put the final touches on his masterpiece. It appeared in the December issue as a pull-out section simply called Home for Christmas. The oil painting was meant to convey the warmth of Christmas Eve during a typical New England winter and holiday season. Today, Home for Christmas is part of the museum's permanent collection. Since 1967, the buildings on Main Street physically have changed very little, only the businesses. However, on the first Sunday in December, the town takes a step back in time to recreate Home for Christmas. For 2 hours, Main Street shuts down and Rockwell's painting springs to life once more. Vintage cars, similar to those that appear in the painting, park in a row alongside Main Street. And the Christmas tree, once again, glows in the window above the former Najami's Market, which was Rockwell's studio.
I think that the Chamber was really looking to bring brisk business to town, people to town during a slow period of time, as well as to kick off the holiday season. So they started off with just Sunday's recreation. They also wanted to keep it along the same lines of what Stockbridge evokes. So why not incorporate Norman Rockwell's painting of Stockbridge Main Street at Christmas and do the reenactment?
The 3-day event includes many family-oriented activities.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
A horse-drawn carriage makes its way down Main Street. For the children, there's Roger the Jester performing his tricks, a visit from Santa, and Santa's workshops. A key component in the recreation is the appearance of the classic cars. Rockwell placed 16 in the original painting, mainly from the 1940 and 1950s era. This year, over 50 cars made the event, traveling from all over New England and New York. Barb and Doug Galanick brought their 1955 Oldsmobile Rocket 88. This is their 5th year at the reenactment.
There's just so much that's nostalgic about being up here in this area. So it's beautiful. And the Norman Rockwell picture, that's just, it's the epitome of what Christmas felt like for anyone from our era. So I think it brings back such fond memories for both of us.
This is a 1950 Pontiac Silver Streak. It's all original. It drives as it did in 1950, 6 volts. Well, we're big fans of Norman Rockwell. We like old cars, and the two together in a beautiful town like Stockbridge, how can you beat it?
Alan Bernstein has made the trip with Once Upon for the past 10 years.
People seem to get very sentimental when they see this car. It's a 56 Jaguar Mark I, very unusual car.
For Alan, Stockbridge evokes a simpler time.
It reminds me when my mom used to hang up the stockings on the wrought iron banister in our home in Yonkers, New York. And we'd have all kinds of little toys in there, So, it reminds me of Christmas morning.
As Tony Carlotto takes down the tree from the top of his 1955 Mercury Montclair and begins the journey home, visitors are already planning their trip to Stockbridge next year for another Home for Christmas reenactment. Here, you're never too old or young to experience that timeless Christmas magic in small-town USA. For Reel to Reel, I'm Steve Kiltonick.